This video is a 4K Battle Royale. I have two BenQ SW 4K display right behind me, starting with the SW271. This is their 27-inch 4K display and is going up against the new BenQ SW321C, aka the Emperor. In this video, I'm going to show you the similarities and differences between these two displays. I'm ArtIsRight, BenQ Ambassador, and let the battle begin. Before we start, please subscribe if you are new and hit on the notification bell so you'll be updated every time I upload a new video. So first of all, let's talk about the size between these two displays. There is a size difference. I mentioned earlier in the introduction that one of them is a 27-inch and the other one's a 32-inch display. Depending on your workspace and the amount of space that you have to set your display up, a 27-inch may be better in this case. However, I love working with a 32-inch display just because being able to see your image fully and being able to immerse yourself in a full experience of a 32-inch 4K is just fantastic. Both of these displays, like I mentioned, are 4K resolution. They're UHD, that means they're 3840 by 2160 pixels for those of you who are keeping track. They are a 10-bit panel, and that 10-bit is actually done by an 8-bit plus FRC for both of them. They're both an IPS LED backlight panel. That means that if you're working in an environment where multiple people have to gather around the display, the people that are on the side of the display will be able to see true accurate colors as well, because the viewing angle of this display is 178 degrees on both sides and also top and bottom. Both of these displays have been pre-calibrated from the factory and they come with their own individual calibration report. With all the SW line display, BenQ guarantees that when you do a hardware calibration on these displays, you're always going to get a delta E value of less than 2. For reference, anytime you get a delta E value of less than 5, that's considered a decent display that control good, decent colors. Anytime you get that value lower and lower, anything below 2 is considered a fantastic display, control true, great, accurate colors. Both of these displays are capable of hardware calibration, and the best software to use to calibrate these displays so that the software will talk directly with the computer inside the panel is BenQ own software, Palette Master Element. The difference that we have to note here is that with the SW321C, BenQ have opened up the hardware portion or the hardware chip inside the display to third-party software. In this case, you can use the software by Lightspace or CalMan to do a calibration on it, and they will have access to the 3D lookup table inside these displays as well. Another thing to note about the 3D lookup inside both of these displays that yes, they do have a 3D lookup table, however, the bit is different. In the SW271, the lookup table in this case is a 14-bit, where on the newer SW321C, the lookup table has been increased to 16 bits. Even though there's just 2-bit difference, you're talking about much more colors that this display can reference upon calibration. This way you can get more truer and accurate colors from there. A couple things I want to mention too is that both of these displays support HDR10, but the thing here is that the SW321C also have a new format added to it, that's HLG, Hybrid Log Gamma. So if you actually do a lot of video editing or color grading in HLG, this will be a great display to do that. In addition, like many of the recent BenQ SW display, both of these panels are CalMan verified and Pantone validated. This means you're going to be able to do color grading and get true accurate colors from there, or if you're doing print work, you're going to be able to get good print quality from these displays as well. The other thing that we have to talk about is the shading hood on these displays. They come standard right out of the box, makes life very easy. The lining on the inside is all felt, minimize any lighting reflection that could come from the environment that you're working in. Another thing though about the shading hood is that right now you're seeing the shading hood in the horizontal configuration. However, both of these displays come with the extra pieces. So if you want to use the display in vertical orientation, you have those pieces ready to extend the shading hood here and use it in the vertical orientation as well. Another thing to note between these two displays is that it has all the standard ports that we're used to, DisplayPort, 2 HDMI port, and it also has USB Type-C. But the way how these two displays implement USB Type-C is a little different. The SW271 here has a USB Type-C that can only deliver 10 watts of power. That means that if you're using this display with your MacBook, any laptop for that matter, you're going to need to use the power adapter that comes with your laptop. I have done some testing and it's not even enough power to power a MacBook Air. Something to note though with the SW321C here is that it has a USB Type-C, but this one also has the addition of a 60-watt power delivery. This means that you can power it up to a 15-inch MacBook Pro without any problem, or for that matter, the latest 16-inch MacBook Pro without any problems. With the new USB Type-C implementation, you only really need one cable to link this up to your laptop, or a Mac laptop for that matter. With the SW321C, it's really just one cable because this display has power delivery. With the SW271, you're going to need two cables because you are going to need to power the laptop somehow too, and generally you're going to be using the power brick that have actually come with your device. So in this case, the cable though will carry not only just the display signal, but it will carry all the I/O signals too. This means you don't have to plug in any extra USB cable in this case. It will carry the signals to the display as you see here, but it will also carry signals for the two USB ports on the side, and those are Type A ports, and also the SD card slot on the side of the display. So if your camera still have SD card slot, this is going to be a really great dock or a really great hub for your laptop as well. Both of these displays come with BenQ Hockey Puck. However, in the SW321C, the Hockey Puck has been upgraded to the second generation Hockey Puck. It is weighted, it has an extra function key, and the user controls of it is actually much more intuitive than the older generation Hockey Puck that has come with the SW271. With SW321C, BenQ have also introduced a new feature called Uniformity version 2. That means that when they are manufacturing this panel at the factory, they have divided this display into multiple different grids, and all those grids are measured, calibrated, and the data of it are actually stored in the lookup table. This means that regardless of whatever RGB primary you decide to do the calibration in, you're going to get really good uniformity throughout the entire panel. This means too that if you're looking at a panel in full white or mid gray or black, you're going to get really consistent tones throughout the panel, and that's something very different than the SW271, where this is using the first generation uniformity, so there are going to be more variations across the panel as we pop out a solid color there. Another thing that we need to talk about too while we're talking about uniformity is backlight bleeding. The thing is that with the SW271, you're going to get much more backlight bleeding than the SW321C, which is the newer technology and newer panel. The other thing that we need to go over too is the matte coating on the display. Now the thing is that the SW271, this display coating, it's not glossy by any means, but the thing is that with the SW321C, BenQ have actually done something amazing with the display, and they have actually coated this display with a new coating that they have that makes this as if you're looking at a matte print, so you're always editing a matte print. And the ability of this display to pretty much diffuse any light is just absolutely fantastic. Let me give you a demo with the picture on right now. In my studio, there are two large 48 umbrella lighting me up right now. The thing is that you're barely seeing any reflection on this display, whereas the SW271, you're seeing a lot more reflection on the panel itself. If I turn the panel to the side, you'll see a little bit more reflection as well, whereas the SW321C, very minimal reflection. One last thing that I want to show you too about these reflection coating is that if I turn off the display, you'll be able to see the reflection a little bit more prominently on both of these panels, where again, one's really diffused, this one's a lot more reflective. Again, this is still really great, especially when you compare it to a glossy green of a MacBook Pro. When you turn both of these displays on, you will notice that the SW271 is showing the older BenQ splash screen, which is purple with BenQ logo on it, which could be jarring in a dark environment, where the SW321C, they have changed it to a background with a BenQ logo on it, so it's not quite as jarring, especially if you're in a dark studio. Talking about the matte screen, we also have to talk about the cleaning methodology as well. With the SW271, you can go ahead and use the older method that I mentioned before on how to clean the screen. A microfiber cloth or a damp paper towel will do just fine. If you have a lot of dust on the display, a Swiffer duster will be perfectly fine to clean out the screen, and that won't be any problem. With the SW321C, because it has a new matte anti-reflective coating, BenQ is much more careful about how you would go out and clean your display. In this case, they have shipped this display with the BenQ roller, or what I call the Accu roller. It's actually what my friend at BenQ called it, the Accu roller. So what you would do is use this cleaner to remove any dust and lint from the display. Should this become dirty, just go ahead and wash it in warm water, leave it to dry about 24 hours overnight, and you'll be fine. you can go ahead and use the display again. I wouldn't even use any solution on this display just because, or water for that matter, because I don't want to damage the matte anti-reflective coating. The other thing too is that I don't even use a microfiber cloth to clean this display because the pressure that you can put down on the coating can be very uneven and you may rub out the coating. I haven't done any testing on it to see how bad the damage can be, but I rather not risk it because I really just love the coating on this display. SW321C also introduced a new feature along with the matte coating too, and that's called Paper Color Sync. Paper Color Sync is a hardware color mode, and what that hardware color mode does is change the display white point from the mode that we're always editing on, D65, to D50. The reason why BenQ does this is because the print that are coming out from our inkjet printer are closely aligned to D50. This way, when you go into Paper Color Sync mode, the screen is going to simulate what's coming out from your inkjet printer right away. This way you can minimize the time editing or re-editing a photo and also minimize any reprinting that can occur, saving money in the long run. A few more things that we have to talk about between these two displays. One of them is the form factor. The SW321C has a different form factor than the SW271. In this case, there is a bezel that goes around the display. Part of it too is because trying to source a panel that has good quality in general is very difficult, and trying to find one that also has an infinite edge, in this case, is even more difficult. This is why BenQ have decided to do the bezel around the SW321C. With regards to the SW271, this has a much sleeker design. It has an infinite edge on 3 edges of the display. So if this is a look that you like, this may be something that you want to consider. Again, I would definitely think about the space that you're putting into your environment too and how they fit into your environment. That would be the first thing. The other thing too is just consider your use. If you are a photographer and you do any kind of printing in studio or in-house at all and you have an inkjet printer, the SW321C is going to be a fantastic display for you to use because of a new feature called Paper Color Sync. If you don't do that but you just want a 4K display, the SW271 will do just fine as a 4K display. For any video editors, both of these displays are going to be fantastic. The thing that I mentioned before is that this display also adds support for HLG, hybrid log gamma. So if you do any video editing in high dynamic range and use HLG format, this will be a better display for you to use in that regards. I hope that you find this comparison between these two BenQ 4K display helpful and learn something new along the way. If you found this video useful, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you are new. Hit on the notification bell to be updated every time I upload a new video. And until next time, ArtIsRight.